Hello. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here. Oh, what's up? Hey, we are past 8,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful and thankful for all of you. My name's Kennedy. If you're new to my channel, I make videos about lock styles, lifestyle videos, cooking, planning, budgeting, basically whatever tickles my fancy. Today is gonna be a budgeting video and getting my budget a little bit reset for the new year. I have made a new budget spreadsheet / planner that I believe will be super beneficial in the new year. Since this will be my last paycheck of 2022, I wanted to get a jump start on my budget for the new year and probably even use this budget spreadsheet as I go and start planning for this paycheck. But I realized that in my other budget videos, I kind of didn't walk through like the step-by-step process of how I set up my budget sheet, what you should be writing down and what you can be using. In one of my videos, I did do that, but that was when I was still doing my budgets like the handwritten way, the old school way, which there's totally nothing wrong with that. I actually made some new PDFs, printables, or things that you can upload to your GoodNotes or Notable file on your iPad if you have that, and if you prefer doing your budget the handwritten. And before I get started on my budget or starting the process of it, I always like to pause and take a few moments of gratitude, because budgeting can be stressful. It can be frustrating if you're not at your goals that you want to be at yet, and sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming as well if you're not making the progress that you think that you should be making in a certain amount of time. But anytime I log my bills and I get ready to distribute my paycheck, if I have maybe some bills that I'm like, dang, I overspent in this category, or geez, maybe I didn't make enough maybe I didn't make as much money that I wanted to in my side hustles, even though I still have to pay bills and like pick up the slack a little, I'm always grateful that I have the ability to pay my bills and the ability to have a little bit extra at the end of each paycheck, whether it's to spend what I want to spend on groceries or get my eyelashes done or get my nails done, you know. Like, I always make sure that I remind myself that even though I'm not where I want to be, I'm gonna go up, okay? And I want everyone to kind of take that into consideration when they're also doing their own budget. So whether you're doing it by hand or on the computer, the first step of getting your budget together, of course, is going to be figuring out what bills you have due at what time. This is my bill tracker and planner that I made. These will all be on Payhip or on my website, and I'll have them linked in the description box, and you can check it out after the video. But this is my bill tracker, and when I first started out on my budget, I strictly did everything by hand. So when I first started out, I went in and I said, okay, on the first of the month, so I'm just gonna put like X1, I know that I always have my rent due, and then I'm gonna slide across, and I know each month my rent is gonna be $875. I know on the first of the month, I also have my car note due. That's gonna be $248. I'm like, what else do I have due on the first of the month? If you don't have anything else due on the first, you're gonna make sure you go just on and on and on. On the 12th, I know that I have Wi-Fi due. On the 13th, I know that I have Canva due. I also have Thematic due on the 14th. So this is the moment where you check out all your bills and figure out what you have due on what date and how much those are going to cost you. This is going to be the base of your budget. So if you forget that you have a bill or a subscription due at the time that you are doing this list process, that's gonna be what surprises you when you have your first budget cycle, because you're gonna be like, oh crap, I forgot that I had Netflix due on the 26th, or I forgot that my insurance automatically comes out of my bank account on this day. And the way that I suggest doing this so that you know that you have every single thing coming out is to look back at your debit card or credit card statements and just highlight the bills that you see that are recurring every couple of months so that you don't miss anything. On the positive side, if you do your budget and you realize that you have missed a subscription or something like that, it's a good time for you to really analyze and see if you need that subscription. For example, when I first started doing my budget, I thought that I had everything sorted out, and then I had an unexpected charge come out, and I'm like, boy, what the hell, boy, I don't even use that. So by doing this bill tracker or this bill list and seeing what you know for a fact is getting taken out versus things that you might forget about or not use that frequently, it's easy to pinpoint and pick out what you might not be using and what you could kind of give up on, especially if you are trying to save doing my budget online in my budget tracker, which I will also have this available to download. My process looks a little bit different. So right here, I have my overview page, which is kind of like your landing page. And this shows you all of your bills and subscriptions. I still have my bill list, the same that I would do if I was like writing it out. But instead, I have all of my bills plugged in right here. I have their due date, the cycle that they're on, because of course, most of our bills are monthly. But we have those random bills like this one, which is every 3 months, or our annual bills like I pay this yearly. Then I have the amount that is due. I didn't really use this portion last year, but this is like a month by month breakdown of what you paid throughout the year because your bills can change. Hopefully they shouldn't be changing, but like y'all saw last year, I believe Amazon went up in their prices. Sometimes your subscriptions might change prices. Like I have to update my insurance, so it's like that might be a little bit of a price difference compared to when I actually made this list the first time. So I just want to go and make sure that I have all of those together and that I don't miss out on any bills that I wrote out or that I saw when I was doing my little audit. Excuse me. Below that, I have my savings, and the way that I do my budget is kind of like an every dollar counts, every dollar matters, zero-based budgeting system. And so what that means is that after all of these bills are paid and after I get into my variable expenses, which I'll talk about on the next tab or in a little bit, I go ahead and start doing my savings. And I use 2 forms of savings. I have my long-term savings, which is kind of like I don't really touch those, and those are bigger savings goals than I might have. Then I have my sinking funds or envelope system. I use a digital envelope system. I will link the video up above where I explain a little bit more, but I use multiple Capital One savings accounts to work as my digital envelopes. It's easy to transfer Zelle money to your accounts. I don't have to worry about going to the ATM and getting cash out, although I did start off doing that way and I don't mind doing that way. This way is just a little bit more convenient for me. And so I have my emergency funds. Right now I just have like a normal one, and my emergency fund is my normal savings bank account. I get a percentage of my check deposited into that account each payday. And it's money that I try not to touch or look at unless I absolutely have to. Then I have my sinking funds, and I don't have my sinking funds in the same category as like a long-term savings because not all of these are long-term, and this money is kind of meant to be used at a certain point. So right now I have Christmas, birthday, which I'm not good. My birthday's next week and Christmas already passed, so I don't really need to have like an envelope or contribute to these cycle, but I can start it in the new year. Then I have my car, medical, travel, entrepreneur, shopping, and personal. And when I say things like my car and medical, I have auto insurance and like health insurance already. But this is money that can go towards paying some of the things that might be over what I'm gonna pay or what my insurance covers. For example, I'm a little bougie and I like to get like the premium glasses when I go to the optometrist. And sometimes those aren't covered by my insurance, or it'll just cover like a portion of those. And so I put money in my medical envelope just so that I have like that money, that overage extra. So if I go to the optometrist and they're like, okay, these frames are $300 and your insurance cover is $150, I will pull from that envelope to cover the additional costs that it might have. Same for car. I have car insurance. This is not really for if you get into an accident or thing like that. This is mainly to cover mainly like your annual costs, like your oil change, maybe I need a new tire or something like that. That's what I would use this money for. Then at the bottom, I have a debt summary section as well, and I just have my debt names right here. So I have the IRS, credit cards, car, all that. I have the balance that I still owe on them, the interest, and then the minimum payment that I must make on them. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill all of that out as I do my next paycheck. That was my overview page, but with this budget tracker, I actually built in a debt tracker and a savings tracker just to hold myself a little bit more accountable and see the progress that I make with my goals. So up top, I have a debt summary portion where I'm just adding up. I'm gonna take out student loans actually because we're not paying those yet, okay? So I'm gonna have that. And this is just where I can just look and see a mental screenshot or mental snapshot of the total amount that I owe and where those debts will be going and how much I need to pay on those each month. But then I can go down here and I see my actual payment tracker, and at the top I have different categories. If you do download this budget sheet, of course, If you do download this budget sheet, of course, you can copy and paste these two columns and in order to like make new categories across the table. But right now I just have those main ones that I put in the table above, and this just works by me. I can go in there and put in a due date that I like pay something. It doesn't have to be a due date, it can be any date that I make a payment on any of these. And I know, for example, I got money for Christmas that I really want to put towards my credit card because I don't want to have a credit card balance, or I want to like make my credit card balance as low as possible by the end of next year. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just put that money straight towards my credit card, just so that it's like out of sight, out of mind. I would love to spend it, but sometimes like our goals are bigger than what the fun that we want to have. So I'm gonna make sure that I get that handled ASAP. And as you can see, I put my payment in right here, and then my balance automatically updates, takes away from my balance up there, and you'll see that I have $700 left to pay. Then I have a savings tracker, and this just works so that you can see the total that you have saved over time. I actually need to fix this. I'll fix that later. But this savings tracker just shows you the total that you have saved over time. I have my sinking funds on the side. I have my goal, or what I want to save. And then I have an estimated date for that savings goal. And the way that I used to save is just like I would throw some dollars towards an envelope, like whatever is left over. And it's totally okay to do that, but if you have like a very specific goal or amount of money that you want to save by a specific time, this is what you can do. You can check out and see the amount that you want to save. So let's say, for example, for next year's Christmas, I want to save $500, and I want to start saving on July 1st and finish saving by December 8th. I would count the amount of paychecks that I have within that time period. I believe I have like 12 paychecks within that time period. And so then I would take $500 and I would divide that by 12, because that is the total amount of paychecks that I would have to save that amount of money. And then that total that I get from that division will be my estimated contribution that I will make bi-weekly, because when I'm like making these goals, I'm not gonna pay weekly if I'm not getting paid weekly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna like put money in an envelope that I don't have. So I know that instead bi-weekly I need to make sure that I'm putting that $41 away so that I can reach my goal by December 8th. And then I have the starting amount, how much I have saved, how much I have left to save for that goal, and I can check out and see the progress that I have made for that goal. Then I can go in here and just get like a more visual idea. I know some people like to look at calendars more than they like to look at lists. And so I added a calendar in here as well that I can just like check off as I pay each bill for the month. And just so I can get an idea of like, most of my bills are due on the same date each month. And although I have like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up here, that's kind of not as important as like the actual numbered dates. So you can delete that if you want to, or if you're just thinking of ideas or ways to get your own bill calendar to look. And finally, I have my paycheck planner right here. And I already started to do this because I low-key filmed this part already, but it didn't film. But the way that I do it is that I take my last month rollover. So last month's rollover is money that I still have in my account by the beginning, or by the time I get paid. For me, it's a bit different because I essentially work with two accounts. I have my normal Chase debit card, which I really don't swipe. My Chase account is what I use to pay all of my bills. So if it's a bill that needs to be paid, like it's strictly coming from that account. And my variable expenses are coming from my Capital One debit card. My Capital One debit card is what I swipe instead of carrying cash, and that's what I use for groceries, gas, XYZ. I might switch to a credit card instead of doing that after I get like my credit cards paid off, just so that I can continue to like accrue points and stuff like that. But this is the system that works for me so far. So usually when I have rollover, the rollover is in that Capital One account. If I have rollover in my Chase account, I'm low-key gonna be scared because I'm like, what bill did I not pay? So I need to keep an eye on that. Then I go ahead and put my paycheck. I do it paycheck by paycheck, but if you would like to do both paychecks at once and budget both paychecks at once, you can also do that. I like to go one by one. So I have my first paycheck right here, and then I go through and I have these drop down lists with my bills that are transferred over from our overview tab, so I can just click those easily. Of course, I have my rent due. I have the date that it's due, January 1st, of course. I have the amount that it's gonna be, and usually my budget and my actual for bills are like, they're gonna be the same. There's rarely like a change in what I expected it to be and what it is, because I don't pay utilities. I feel like that's like the one that's like most frequently flexible or that changes, and everything else is set. So once I do that, I go down here and see that I can see my total bill amount, and then I can see the remaining amount. The remaining amount is the money that you have left to actually budget with. So I see that remaining amount. This remaining amount is what I transfer into my Capital One bank card, because I'm gonna be spending that money for the next couple of weeks. I look at that $5.99. Yeah, $5.99. Then I go into my variable expenses, and for variable expenses, these are things that are like constantly changing. I don't usually have a set grocery budget or a set gas budget per se. Like, they vary week by week or bi-weekly based on maybe what I have to do that week, if I'm traveling and things like that. So for my variable expenses, I typically keep these categories, and I have groceries, gas, eating out, personal, entertainment, miscellaneous, and shopping. For me, personal is almost always like nails, lashes, brows, things like that. So I want to make sure that I'm including those, because I feel like those are like the easiest things to swipe my card on, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't mean to do that, but they also add up the fastest. So for groceries, I know I'm going on a work trip, so I don't need like that much groceries, because I'm also trying not to waste food as much this year. So I just have $80 right there. Gas, again, I'm not gonna be driving my car if I have a work trip, so I have $25 right there. Gas is also really cheap in Georgia right now. Eating out, I put $94 because it's about to be my birthday, so I'm like, we're going to eat, okay? Personal, I need to get my brows and lashes done, and I can see like the amount that it's gonna be minus the tip. And I need to get a wax, so I just added those together and put that in my personal category. Entertainment, miscellaneous, and shopping, I'm not really like on that one right now. I do have a gift card that I want to use, but I'm not gonna put that in my shopping budget, because like, it's not my money that I'm spending. So after that $5.99, and I've like spent it throughout these categories, I have $334 left to budget. I like to go through and pay my debt before I go into my savings. You can do it whichever way you like. Some people say pay yourself before you pay your debt, but I feel like it really depends on your goals and like how strict you are being with trying to achieve those goals. I like to do my debt first. I'm putting $165 from this money into my actual debt. In addition to this Christmas money that I got, I'm gonna make sure that I'm putting that towards any debt that I want to pay off as well. Then I go over to my savings. My sinking funds are right here. I'm gonna just go into my birthday category and put $100, because I do kind of want these boots. So it's gonna be in and out, okay? Because that's about to get spent fast. Then my long-term savings, I have my emergency fund right here. I'll have to double check when I get paid how much money is being contributed to that, but I make sure to note that as well. By the time you spend all of those down, this automatically calculates and it shows you the amount that you have left to budget by the end. But I also put a new box on like the one that y'all will download that shows you how much you actually spent, because sometimes what you budget for and what you actually spend are different, and that's what's gonna help us learn how to better stick to our budget. And right here I have an expense tracker. This is something that I'm trying to get better at the next year, like actually tracking your expenses, because it's so easy to fall off and be dishonest with yourself if you're not actually tracking what you're spending on. And so the way that this works is I just choose a date. Maybe if this is my birthday, I might want a massage. Let's say I want a massage, and it's gonna be $60. I would go in there and put that massage right there. But then I would also know that that means that I would need to change what I spent in this category, because I might not have necessarily allocated the expense for a massage when I was like doing my variable expense budget. And then over here, I have the spending overview. As I start to fill in like the actual stuff for variable expenses and all that, this will end up changing. Like for groceries, let's say I do actually spend $80. You can see it pops up right here. And I just wanted to do this also to see like the portions. What am I spending on? What can I work on? What can I limit? Can I take off any bills? Am I paying too much in debt? Like what's going on? And how can I change my budget so that it can best support me? Anyways, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I want us all to be great. We're gonna be great in the new year. If you don't know how to set up a budget, if you're interested in learning more, I will also be setting up a budget Discord where other people who are interested in budgeting and need a little bit of help, motivation, direction, guidance, want to participate in some budgeting challenges and more, will be able to join and chat and talk about maybe our progress, our struggles, and all of that. Everything will be linked in the description box below for this video, and I can't wait to see y'all next time. Peace.